Hey, everybody. Al Fragnoli, Zach Suddy, Legal Leaders, Hot Topic Tuesday tonight. We got a couple things on the agenda we want to talk about. First thing we're going to touch on is another name change that's happened. Yesterday it was announced that the Cleveland Indians are getting rid of Indians in their team name. Zach, what are your thoughts on this?
So, Al, I think it's a trend we've seen over the last few years, and to be honest, it's been happening for 50 plus years. And as people's sensitivities change, as human beings, evolve, I think there are some sensitivities that we need to address. And it's not a surprise that the Cleveland Indians are looking for a name change. And I don't want to get into the subject too much. It seems that we have this discussion every once in a while, and I think it's great when teams at least discuss it. And when they whatever their decision is, whether it's right or wrong, I agree with name changes as we progress. And I just want to refer to a tweet that I saw earlier today from an MLB analyst, Jet Passan, I believe his name is, maybe Jeff, Jeff Passan. And his tweets, "It is such a stupid, tired act to blame Cleveland renaming its baseball team on cancel culture or wokeness. Sports teams have been doing it for 50 plus years now. Cleveland is changing because its brand grew toxic." And he unlocked a column that's free on ESPN that you can read. And I kind of agree with Jeff. Jet, but stupid, tired act to blame, cancel culture or wokeness. A little harsh, but I think it's just human beings progressing, understanding other nationalities and heritage, and maybe their struggles, and recognizing that maybe they are offended, and that at least there needs to be a conversation about it. And that's where I stand on this topic. And how about you? I know it's a sensitive topic.
Yeah, definitely a sensitive topic. And Zach, I couldn't agree with you more. I think you nailed it right there. There at least has to be dialogue, right? I mean, it is 2020. We see things changing every single day. So I think there at least needs to be dialogue, and there needs to be discussion that's had. And I think this is a good thing to see when people are at least thinking about it, talking about it. And then if we together as a whole deem that it is something that's offensive and might need to be changed, then it's good to recognize that. So I would agree with you in that respect.
So Al, moving on to college football, great season considering all of the challenges that a lot of teams have had. Ohio State coming in with a six-game season. But how do you feel about the season wrapping up? You got championship weekend coming up. There's the playoff selection show on Sunday. Does Ohio State get in? Who gets in? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a great question. I love this time of year. Well, normally it happens in November, right? But I love it with championship week going on. There's a lot of good games on the schedule. You got the SEC championship with Alabama and Florida. I think Alabama wins that game pretty easily, to be honest with you. If Florida wins, it makes it very interesting, because Alabama, I think, still would get into the playoff, and then Florida sneaks in as well. Clemson and Notre Dame playing again, a rematch where Notre Dame won earlier in the year, and you got Clemson and Notre Dame going up in the ACC championship game. That's going to be a heck of a game. I think Clemson wins that one. If Clemson loses, they're out of playoff contention. That'll open up the door for another team to sneak in there. But ultimately, I do think Clemson wins that game. As long as it's within 2 touchdowns, Zach, I think Notre Dame gets in as well. And then we look at Ohio State. They're favored by 3 touchdowns against Northwestern in the Big Ten championship. I had Ohio State at the beginning of the year. I don't think anybody's touching them. I think they win by 30 points, to be honest with you. I think it's, they roll against Northwestern, against the Fighting Reese Davises over there from Northwestern. And I think Ohio State makes the playoff, obviously. So my 4 teams to get in the playoffs are the 4 teams that are currently there. I don't think anything changes, just maybe the seeding. Because I do think Clemson wins against Notre Dame. So I'm going to say Alabama at 1, Clemson at 2, Ohio State at 3, and Notre Dame at 4, staying in even with a tight loss to Clemson. If they get blown out, that'll open up the door for Texas A&M or potentially Iowa State. Iowa State sitting at 6 right there, and they're playing Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship. So if Iowa State happens to win that game, they may potentially sneak in, but we'll see. Zach, your thoughts?
I had the same top 4: Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Notre Dame, in no particular order at this point. But I'm always rooting for upsets. I always like to see teams squeak in. It'd be interesting to see some blowouts and maybe some unexpected blowouts, maybe some upsets. And if things would happen as the way I would like to kind of just see the weekend go, the craziness of college football. I would like to see the Alabama, Notre Dame, maybe Texas A&M sneak in. And I did have Cincinnati maybe sneaking in possibly, but it sounds like they dropped this evening. So I really thought that if there were some upsets and an opportunity for them to sneak in, but I think you're right. I don't think it changes. I think it's Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Clemson.
Yeah, and it would be nice, as you mentioned, an underdog. It's always nice to see an underdog sneak in, and I would love to see Cincinnati kind of work their way back up in there. But sitting at number 9 right now, unless they win by 80, that might not even be enough. But I don't think they're able to sneak their way into it, unfortunately, this year. But anyway, Zach, to stay on the topic of college football, University of Pittsburgh and Boston College both announced this past week they had their players vote on whether or not they wanted to participate in a bowl game that'll be coming up in a few weeks here. And both teams said that the players overwhelmingly voted against it. And the reason being was because they've been practicing or on campus since the June or July timeframe. And they've been pretty much in quarantine, right? They've had to kind of seclude themselves from everybody. A lot of these universities don't have in-person learning going on, or they did start with it and don't have it right now potentially. So there's not a lot of social interaction going on with people except for their coaches and the players that they're surrounded by every single day. So they mentioned that their mental health was a big concern this year and a lot of mental challenges that they've had to deal with. And they want to go home and be around their families during the holiday season. What are your thoughts on this, Zach? Do you think that these universities, by listening to their players, are doing the right thing, or do you think they should just go ahead and play in a bowl game?
So I think it's commendable to these universities to listen to their players, because there's money in bowl games. There's revenue. There's obviously a lot of upside to the university. As for the players, though, I think if they're struggling mentally, you need to listen to them. I think we can all agree that whether it's work at home, life has been difficult the last few months, and college football players, student athletes in general, are struggling immensely. And I think it's great that these universities are listening to their players and making the appropriate decision. And you and I are both passionate about leadership and mental health specifically in this case. And I think it's important now for not just universities but organizations across the country, the world right now, because it is something that I think a lot of people are struggling with and don't know how to deal with it. So to say they're not going to play in a bowl game is commendable to me. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, those are good points, Zach. And, we've talked about this a lot, as you mentioned, leadership and mental health. And, honestly, I stop and I think for a second, this, and a lot of people close to me know that I obviously struggled with COVID at the end of March and early April when this all started. And being away from my wife and my Frankie, our only child at the time. We obviously have a second one now, but I sent them both to my in-laws for 2 weeks, and being alone here at the house and not interacting with people except for through phone calls was mentally draining, especially that second week. So for these athletes to be enduring this for 6 months, I can only imagine what they're going through. And we had Chris Starkey on not too long ago as a guest, and he talked to us, former Division One football player, talked about some of the mental challenges that he endured coming back from injury. And it reminded me a lot of our discussion with him. There's so many challenges that people experience, and we all need that social interaction with people. And to your point, I think these universities handled this perfectly. And I have a feeling that in the next week, we're going to see more institutions do the same thing and go the same route. There is money on the line behind these bowl games, but it is so great to see that they're putting people first over the bottom line, and they're showing a vested interest in their people. So I think it's fantastic to see. And we've all seen mental health being brought up a lot more this year, more so than ever before. And it's something that we have to take very seriously. And I think these universities, Boston College and Pittsburgh, have to be given credit for leading the way and doing the right thing here. So that's kind of what I think on this, but it'll be interesting to see what happens in the coming weeks and if other teams follow suit. But anyway, that wraps it up for tonight for Hot Topic Tuesday. We thank everybody for joining us, and we hope to see everybody this Sunday as we interview our next guest, and we hope to see everybody next Tuesday on Hot Topic Tuesday as well. Good night.